Way past time for a haircut, ain't it, folks? If you're joining, and I don't know when the stream actually cuts in, but yeah, it's way past time for a haircut and a trim and all that. I'm gonna take care of that. So, okay. Sorry, I had a bunch of things I had to deal with. All right, so we're going live tonight. We're going to talk about what's been going on with my recent health struggles, kind of catch everyone up to date, let you guys know I've, put out a couple posts, let everyone know to pray for me. I was doing so many tests, x-rays, ultrasounds, breath tests, urine tests, stool sample, blood, urine, just everything, the whole gambit, checking blood sugar, checking for cancers, checking for everything. Like they did all kinds of scans and everything of my body, ultrasound, just all kinds of stuff. What's up, Mad Bess? So I want to let everybody know what's going on. There's some bad news with my health, but it's mostly good. But we'll share that with everybody. And then I kind of want to take tonight to, I guess, I don't want to be a Bible thumper too much, like for those of you who aren't religious. But for those of you who are, you'll probably get a kick out of it. But it's more a cool story. So I wanted tonight, we're going to talk some fishing. So I want everybody, this is a fishing channel, right? We're going to talk about how some recent fishing trips have gone, some things that I've kind of learned why I think we did so bad in the last tournament, the last couple trips, versus what I'm doing now. My last trip, today we had a good time, caught some good fish, and what we plan on doing going forward. Kind of talk about some fishing stuff for sure. And it's important too because it's going to pertain to recent tournaments, new tournaments coming up. It's going to be McClure heavy, and also the Mother Lode Lakes. And then if you're out of state watching this, can break it down to where it makes sense. But anyways, I also just wanted to kind of share a story with you guys and gals, and let you guys know kind of my testimony, so to speak. And I also have some other news. This isn't, we haven't done it yet, this is, I got mine and she's got hers. So we're going to be getting married probably sometime this summer. And what I'm going to do probably is put some stuff out on YouTube and put some stuff out on Facebook. If you consider yourself a friend of mine, you're invited. Basically, I need people to reach out to me. That way, what I'll do is I'll put a list together of people who are interested in coming. That way, we don't waste a bunch of money and send invites out to people, or not send invites out to people that would have liked to have come, but we didn't know that you would have liked to have come. So we're basically going to just be real public about it, let everybody know the date and time. And if you're interested, RSVP with us, let us know. Then we'll send you guys some official invites. It's going to be cool. Going to, have a nice a wedding. So that's coming in the future. But again, I wanted to talk about my health and tell a story. So first, let's talk about the health, and then I'm going to tell you guys my testimony, my story, and it's a pretty unique one. We all have a unique story, but I've got some pretty cool experiences, I think, and some stuff to share. Let's just say that. So, and it ought to be interesting and entertaining in the least. So if you're new here, smash the like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Ronald Roquemore, good to see you. Sorry, I just noticed that. Hey. So anyways, in a nutshell, I dang near thought I was dying, right? And to give you a backstory, you got to understand a little bit about me. I've had prostate issues, let's say, since I was like 10 years old. I've always had to go pee like every 5 minutes. It felt like I could never hold my pee, and then it would just come out the blue. It's just always been with me. It's not like this is something that's progressed as I've been older. So that's just been a concern, right? Things like, almost, guys don't like talk about this, but hemorrhoids, bleeding, this can kind of be scary, especially if it's happened to you since you were also a kid, right? And then, like, how long does that go on before you start getting worried? Then you have much worse stuff. Like, for example, I've had acid reflux, heartburn. It's been really bad, like someone's twisting a knife or burning coals and embers inside. I've had that since I was a kid. So I've had a lot of those problems that I've been dealing with as I've been getting older, right? I've been through a 120-mile-an-hour car crash where don't know if any of my vertebrae, neck, back stuff's messed up. I've been through the ringer in a sense, in a lot of ways physically. I've abused my body with alcohol, sugar. I'm not very, healthy weight wise. And lately, about the last 4 or 5 years, I've been having a really bad, not too bad, but a bad pain in my back. And it's in a specific spot and it feels like it's inside of my back. And it's just really crazy because, if it was a muscle or something, I've had massages, I've done all kinds of stuff to try to work it out. Um, just relax, don't put any stuff on it, any pressure, don't overwork it. But the pain has persisted for many years. You tie that in with like it's right where my kidney or liver's at. I'm not a doctor, but where I think it's your liver. So the kidney and livers are by each other, but I think you got two kidneys, and one liver, right? So um, it's in a place that's concerning, right? Due to sugar, alcohol, unhealthy stuff, other things, right? And I'm just a lot of different things building up, right? And I've been in tremendous pain the last probably year or two. So it's really been getting worse. I don't take any pain medicine. I don't tell nobody. I don't complain about it. But a cough too that's been persistent, right? A smoker, you guys know about Casper, the Friendly Ghost, all that good stuff. So really beat myself up. Hey, Mad Bass, hope you guys aren't taking off. But anyways, I've really beat myself up. I'm glad to see you guys either way. Happy you guys hung out. But I really did beat myself up health wise. So went to the doctor, had all these tests, and I was really concerned that it was something with my liver, with cancer. With Ryan Cook passing away so early at 38 too, just really got me more afraid too because I've had this for so long. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I've had this pain for so long that and it's just been getting worse too. So I figured, man, it was doom and gloom. I've just been really stressed out. Something I also don't share with a lot of people, but this last whole year, and then especially when Ryan Cook passed away, it just was like I got to go check on everything. I got to go find out, make sure I'm not having prostate cancer, make sure I don't stomach cancer, butt cancer, make sure I don't have gallstones, make sure I have ulcers, diabetes. I've been getting dizzy at times, right, when I'm not quite sure why. Most of that's diet, right, but a lot of issues, right, where I'm just getting all paranoid, and then couple that with some just really bad pain that feels like it's inside of my body. Just ain't good. I go get all these tests, and long story short, the doctor says everything is good. And what they found was all the scans and everything shown fine, but on my back, going a certain direction, I have you have muscles that help you breathe and muscles that help you lift. They go different directions and ways. Well, one of the big major bands on my back has basically snapped, and oh, it hurts right now. And this happened probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I must not have really realized what happened or how bad or severe it was. And also at that time, I was really working hard in Santa Cruz to try to make a living for my family, to start my own business or to just grow my future with my family and kids. I was at that stage, where I was barely home, working a lot. And so I didn't have time to, get sick or get injured. You just had to work through it. Long story short, it healed, unfortunately. Broken. So there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. They cannot reattach the fibers, they cannot reattach the muscles, they can't fix it. There's no surgery. It's just it's a big giant scar, a muscle scar, but it's really big. And I only have so many strands that are kind of working that muscle. That's why it's so painful, because almost any kind of movement with that muscle just makes it sore, because there's not enough of what there should be, especially for how big I am. So first off, I got to lose a lot of weight. It's going to be good for my health anyways. And then second, I'm not going to take any pain medicine. I hate that shit. Not going to go down that route. But I need to strengthen that part of my back. So anyways, long story short is I'm healthy. Where I was concerned I could be really in a bad boat. But This is going to affect my ability to fish. It might, how long I could stay on the boat and cast and row for. I've been fishing the last 4 years while I've been injured, but I've been in a lot of pain that I don't really share or talk with a lot of people. And those of you who have fished with me have probably seen me stretching or moaning and groaning and complaining about my back. And I'm not the kind of guy that moans and groans and complains unless the pain level is, let's say, like a 7 out of 10. If it's not anything around there, I'm quiet. You won't hear from me. And I could be in pretty bad pain. But when it gets bad, I'll say some stuff. So, anyways, I'm just hoping I can have that willpower to lose weight, to control my, my eating and my exercising, and to really rehabilitate my back muscle to where at least what's ripped and torn is bad. Exactly like Mad Bass said, at least everything else checked out. But what's ripped and torn is done. There's no healing that. But I can grow what's existing and make it reinforced, let's say. And I need to lose weight so that I'm not putting as much strain on it. So that's that's my health update. So everybody who is following me on Facebook or on YouTube, that way now how God saved me. So if you're watching this, and again, I'm not a super religious guy. Those of you who know me know I curse like a sailor. I'm known to puff the magic dragon, but super low key chill. I'm not a bad dude. I don't, I'm not a mean, vengeful person, but I am religious, right? I do believe in God and Christ. I've gone to church when I was younger, and I go now. And I've been mending my ways, let's say. But I want to tell you guys a story. So I grew up in a church household. My parents went to church. I went to church since I was a baby. One of my first memories in church that I remember being baptized, and I got memories from like when I was 2 or 3 years old. I don't know if that's weird, but I do. I can remember about maybe 2.5, I think. If I go really far back, I believe I can recall about 2 to 3 years old. I'm sure I remember a lot of those memories. I don't think it goes back much farther than that. But anyways, I remember my parents specifically praying over me in the session and asking God to, to give me a guardian angel, right? It was very specific. I remember this. I think it was after I was baptized, or the day I was baptized. And they asked, my parents asked that, if anything bad were to happen, let it happen to them. And that may God, watch over me and protect me, may send me a guardian angel. Now, I'm sure like everyone, probably prayed, but this was a specific like ritual, like prayer that my parents and they were just, like it was just something that stuck with me. It was done at church. It was right after the baptized. And so my very first memory after that of being kind of tested or being saved, let's say, was when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I climbed a tree I had no business climbing, and I ended up going about probably, it's basically one of them big pine trees that you see like in the forest, but you know how like people have those in their yards. I climbed all the way to the very, very top, and stupid me just did not know when to when to stop going. And I climbed so high up that the branch was just the tip of the tree was not strong enough to hold my weight, and it bent over and snapped, and I fell all the way to the ground. And what happened was I hit many branches going down that stopped me from falling directly down. Had I fallen directly down, I would have died for sure. Had I just fell through the branches, because these ones they're not super bushy. They're kind of sparse with openings. And I very much could have just fallen straight through, maybe hit one on my way down and then hit the ground. Probably would have died or been really, really messed up. But the crazy thing is, and it hurt. It hurt. Those branches beat the shite out of me on the way down. But I hit like every one. So when I hit the ground, I remember having a hard time breathing, and it took a minute. Like I couldn't even draw a breath in. And I remember when I fell, just praying to God, like, oh God, I thought I was going to die. And I just, that moment, oh God, help me. And then every branch hit me on the way down. When I hit the ground, I straight bounced on. I just remember it. I felt like I had broken all my ribs. I couldn't breathe. I remember couldn't breathe, and then sure as heck, just I was able to breathe. I get up. There's not a scratch, not a broken bone, not a dent on me. And preceding that fall, I used to test. I'd climb up on my roof and jump off, and literally, I wouldn't do a flip in midair, but what you do is to break your fall so you didn't ever hurt your ankles. You climb up on the fence, then get onto the roof, then go to the roof's edge, and I would leap off, and then right as I was hitting the ground, I would roll and do a flip and never get hurt. It was crazy. I used to just do so much insane stuff. And so, brushes with death, my next one. So that was my first kind of brush with death right there, where I felt God had really saved me. And my next one, my next so-called brush with death, would probably be when I was 20 and some guys came in with guns and tried to do a home invasion on us. And basically, they came in, put the gun to my brother's head, and when I came out, I was in the bathroom taking a shower. When I came out, I was naked. When I came out, my brother was throwing me a shotgun. This is a real true story, craziness here. Um, when I come out with a shotgun. My brother's got one, and my brother's got a gun to his head. And once everybody, like everything starts cracking off, they pulled the trigger, and the trigger, it jammed. It didn't fire. So my brother didn't give him a chance to fire the next shot. He picked the dude up and straight dropped him on his head, and then took the gun from him, and they ran outside. And I didn't get saved. I watched my brother get saved that day, though. And I mean, I could have killed those dudes too, and I didn't. I didn't shoot them because my brother straight dumped them on his head, and they ran scared. I didn't have to take a life that day, and I don't know what would have happened to me had I done that. And I was prepared to. Let me tell you right now, I was butt naked with shampoo on my wang and my head, and holding a shotgun, 12 gauge shotgun, and my brother had one. And those dudes are lucky they got out of there alive. But yeah, I didn't, so this is another moment that I felt God changed the trajectory of my life. I watched a miracle happen, and so much stuff in between then. I was homeless. So I've been homeless at one time, and I prayed, God to get me out of that predicament. And he sure as heck provided a place for me and an avenue out. There was a time when I was with friends, and you guys may have heard this story, when I was in a 120-mile-an-hour car crash. Hey, Robert, how's it going? And I was with friends, right? And they did something bad that they shouldn't have done. They broke into a farming trailer, and I didn't have nothing to do with it, didn't want nothing to do with it. And we got into an argument. They jumped in my ride with the stuff. I didn't want nothing to do with this, but I wanted to fight three of my friends, 3-on-1. And the farmer that they had just like broken into his trailer just pulled up on the dirt road, blocked us off. So I go hauling around the farmer, take off into the field. The farmer starts chasing us, and he's on his cell phone. This is like 2001, barely invented, the Nokia flip phones. But he's on his cell phone. I knew he was on the phone to the police, and he's following us. And it's a brand new white car, 4 youngsters. We're screwed, dude. And I did not want nothing to do this, had nothing to do with this. I wasn't trying to get, messed with. So I'm running because I don't want nothing to do with this. And if I had stayed, right, my friends, quote unquote friends, could have jumped me, hurt me, and just took my car. There could have been a shootout. Who knows? Because they had guns. He had a gun because they had stolen the ones from him. And again, we were fishing. I had nothing to do with this. It's a longer story than this, but those of you who've heard the story may have heard it before. They jumped the fence before me. I'm looking at the ground, fat butt, taking my time walking through a field so I don't trip on my face. By the time I get to the fence to jump it, they already robbing the place. My car's parked down the road there. They're yelling at me to go. I'm telling them F off. I get to my car, and I'm thinking about ditching them. Screw these guys. But as I'm going to my car, I noticed one of my friends come out with a bundle of guns, one came out with a TV, one and some other stuff, right? And I was like, you mother. So I'm going towards my car, like I'm gonna ditch these dudes. But here comes the farmer. What's the responsible thing to do? If I leave my friends there and they get into an altercation, someone's gonna get killed. I mean, we just turned like a coward and ran, right? But they jumped in my car, you know, jumped in. I couldn't stop them, you know, just jumped in and we just drove off. Now, here's the thing. So we're arguing. The farmer's chasing us, but I'm going like 120. I smoked this fool. So I'm driving, going through all the back roads. And I tell him, like, man, dude was on the phone. He said, call the cops. We're going to get busted red handed. I don't want nothing to do with this shit, dude. I'm going to stop, throw all the stuff in a bush somewhere where no one will ever find it. And if you want it, you fucking come back for it. I don't want nothing to do with this. And we're arguing. And in that moment, not paying attention, there was a 15-mile-an-hour S curve like this over a canal, and going 120. It was death one way, death the other, and the only option I seen was trying to kind of drift into the dirt road that went along it. It was almost a perfect straight shot. It was just off like this, but I was just going way too fast, and I almost pulled it off too, but nope. Hit a big old boulder the size of like a kitchen table, did 3 flips, landed underwater. And again, this is a fishing channel. We're going to talk fishing here in a bit, but this is a true testimony, the power of God and the power of prayer. And the moment before we hit, just I remember hearing instinctively, I'm holding onto the steering wheel. I see this giant boulder coming at us. I see the river, see the canal. I know we're screwed. I'm pretty sure we're dead. And I remember hearing, oh shit, I think something F, right? And I remember hearing, I think I heard, oh God, too, from someone else. And I said, oh God, like, God, please. And then boom, the impact, you know, the steering or the airbag hits you in the face like Tyson. And then once the airbag kind of starts deflating, you can even barely see. All I see is clear sky. Like, what the hell? And then we're spinning. And then I see the water in the ground. And then I see clear sky again. What? And then boom, we hit the water upside down, sink like a rock. I realize I'm alive. Oh my God. We get out. 3 of us get out. One of them was trapped underwater for 10 minutes, trapped underwater. 10 minutes, dead. And we go, and the whole time I'm trying to pull his ass out. My other 2 friends, they tried, but they couldn't. We all had PTSD. The second you put your head under the water, it was like lightning bolts and like just like the craziest feeling, like you were going to die. Like you could not go back in the water after you escaped. It was like it would stop your heart damn near. And so I forced myself to overcome that because I had no other choice. So basically, after almost 10 minutes, about 10 minutes of attempt, well, let's say I was underwater for a minute. He was underwater for about 10. So maybe 9 minutes of attempting to get him out. And I got him out finally. My friends helped me get him to the shore. And then a bystander who pulled up, actually seen the whole thing from behind, helped get him up onto the ground. I know first aid, CPR. We get up to my buddy. And I'm praying and I'm praying. And first of all, I prayed, like I said, oh God, you know, please. I was trying to finish it, but didn't have time. But you know what I meant. Save me while I'm underwater, trapped upside down, begging God to save me, to get me out of that car. And I fought every second of my way to get out of that car. And he saved me. Then we get to the damn road, and there's my homie dead. And as I'm like, luckily, right, here comes the fire department, and it's only one dude, but he has a mask and everything. He asked me, do I know CPR? I said, yes. And he throws me the mask and he's like, you do breathing, I do chest compressions. So I was doing the breathing. He was doing the chest compressions. I'm praying to God. I'm praying to God. He rolls, you know, he spits out a bunch of water. We roll him over. He lays down. We're doing it again. He spits out a bunch more. We get him on his side, and then he just lurches up. He was laying flat on his back like this, and he just went doing, and he just was staring like I'm staring into you. but like he was not there, like right through you. He's seeing right through you, and like it was the craziest look I ever seen on someone's face. Like he'd seen hell or something, you know. Like it was crazy. He had this wild look on his face, but he was not looking at any. His eyes were wide open, and he was like, then boom, he died again. And we revived him 3 times. He died. We revived him, well, twice with us, and then once in the helicopter. I think once in the hospital too. And after this, we're sitting in jail, right? For a crime I didn't have nothing to do with. I found myself in some shitty circumstances. And I'm crying and I'm bawling and I'm praying to God, please, please. For one, I'm honest. I don't want to go to jail forever and a day. I don't want no one dying on my watch. I have nothing to do with this shit. But two, equally, if not more important, you know, because we're all humans concerned about ourselves as well. I don't want my homie to die. I don't want my friend to die. I mean, it was just guilt like you wouldn't believe, like a giant weight, right? And I just prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I was crying all night long and praying and praying. And we get the news the next day that basically he had ended up waking up in the hospital, woke up out of a coma, like, and this is 3 or 4 days in, mind you, of his hospital stay and of us being there. Hey, Chris, nice to see you on. Telling a little story here. We're going to get into fishing here in a bit. I'm kind of giving my testimony about like how God saved me throughout life and recently. And then we're going to get into some cool fishing tips and information on the Motherlode Lakes and kind of what's going on right now and what we've seen. But anyways, um, yeah, so he basically woke up out of the middle of a coma and ripped all of his intubator tubes out and took all of his IVs and all his stuff out. What the hell am I doing in the blah, 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 and just marched and tried to march out the front doors. Like, what the hell? And they got him, you know, hey, you're under. He's like, what? What? He didn't remember. He had like, you know, amnesia where he just couldn't remember at first. And no brain damage. And pretty much we all got out of it without a scratch. One friend did have a little scratch right here. A little chunk of his hand got ripped out. Blood, not too bad, but you know, that was it. Like basically all 4 of us got out of there without a scratch. And there's been so many times in my life where I could have died or basically been in a really bad predicament financially, and God came to the rescue. So after that, I'm sitting here now, I'm homeless, right? Because I get out of jail, my parents had lost their house because we were just really wild kids, you know, and we got them evicted. So my parents had lost their house. We got nowhere to stay. I get out of jail. Right? I'm not in prison or nothing, just jail, you know, like a week or 2 in there fighting our whole court case and shit. And basically, we ended up taking it because they scared the hell out of us, especially me. Like, one of the guys was so traumatized, he just basically told everything and admitted to everything. And then the other 2 were like, nah, they're trying to fight it. And me, I was trying to tell the truth and be like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I'm innocent. I'll fight it all the way, but I'm not trying to say nothing. And basically, we got wrapped up where it was like a quadruple prosecution. I don't know how they did this, but it was like we all 4 were on trial at the same time. We didn't, you know, because it's the same crime, I guess. So, and they weren't allowing anyone to like one plea this way, one plea that way, or if you tried to plead not guilty, you basically had to like snitch and tell everything on the other guys. And it was a super frustrating, scary ordeal for a 19-year-old who grew up in, like I said, situations with guns and bad things. So, you know, you don't exactly snitch, right? And they scaring us with, we're going to go to jail for 10 years, all this. The first time offense, you know, broke into a freaking farming trailer, right? And I didn't even do it, want anything to do it, have anything to do with it, didn't plan it, didn't nothing, right? And again, the only reason why they left with me, for one, is it was forced upon me. I didn't let them in my car. They jumped in. And I'm kind of like a cornered. I was like a cornered rat, fight or flight. I didn't know what to do. I felt the best course of action was just to try to get away, and made a stupid decision. I don't know what other decision I could have made. If I would have stayed, my friends and them could have gotten to a physical fight, a gunfight. Who knows what could have happened? All to what? Save my butt. I tried to save everyone's butt, and look what happened. But again, when I came out, I was homeless, and at this time, my grandparents owned a home in Monterey. They died. They left it to my dad and his sister. My dad had horrible credit. Sister needed to fix up the place because it was an older home so that they could sell it, make like $1 million. My dad's credit was so bad, they made my dad sign the house over to my aunt so that she could get the loan to refinance it. She sells the house and comes back to Merced area, and they're sitting on like $700,000. At the same moment, we're homeless, and they buy a house outright cash. They're buying cars for their kids, giving cash, right? And legally, technically, though, that was supposed to be half my dad's house, half my dad's money, minus the loan, right? And any stuff like that. They didn't give us nothing. It was tough. I don't hold a grudge anymore for that, but karma's crazy. One, my aunts passed away. All of my cousins or kids are all in jail or like doing real bad, and I don't want that for them. But made real bad decisions in their life. They didn't help us when we were down and out, and basically they invited us to live in their garage for a while, but there was too many. There's 5 of us in a garage, so they told me and my mom we had to leave, and they allowed my dad and my brothers to stay. So me and my mom, I had to go sleep on the couch. I slept around for a while in different places, but ended up staying on the couch in the garage. It was brutal. It was better than truly being like under a bridge or something. Then we ended up getting stuck in a motel room. We ended up living in a motel room, 5 people for almost a year, and no one would hire me, right? I'm 19, I'm 20 years old, got a strike and a felony. I used to work at, Singular Wireless Pac Bell, was making like 50 grand at like 48 grand at like 19 years old. In 2001 was making, just my life, my future was so bright. And I couldn't get a job at McDonald's. Couldn't get a job anywhere to save my life. No one would hire me or help me. And then my punishment for the whole thing, I guess it kind of works. God works in mysterious ways, folks. My punishment for the whole thing was to wash cop cars. So I got sentenced to a day less than a year, so I didn't have to go to prison. So I was able to basically take work in lieu instead of being in jail for 364 days minus time served, good blah blah, good time, so maybe 150 days. So they made me 6 months of washing police cars, and I did 6 months in the Livingston Police Department washing cop cars. I got to learn and know a lot of the police there, and we chatted and talked, and they're like, man, you're a cool dude, you got effed. And so they felt bad, and they put in a good word for me. I got into, and this whole time I'm praying to God, please get us out of there. Please help us. Please get us out of this predicament. And I wasn't ever expecting a handout or God just to miraculously get you out of the predicament. That's not how it works. But he opened door after door after door for me by just me being a decent person and not fall into like the depression and negativity. I mean, there are times, where you get down and you just stay home, right? Or you don't go out and look for a job because you've already applied 100 times and no one wants to hire you and you're depressed. So you go get a beer and you don't do nothing. But I didn't let that get to me. That wasn't me all the time. That was just me when you get down, right? But God came through for me, and the police they put out a recommendation to foster farms, and I got hired, and that opened the door for where I met my wife and I had my children. And my firstborn kid, this is another testimony, man. My firstborn kid, I thought wasn't, my ex took him away, ran away, said he wasn't mine. And then I find out he was put up for adoption, and I don't ever get to know him, but the thing is we did a DNA test. I got in contact with his parents, with his, adopted parents, which basically to him are his real parents, but I'm his biological dad. We did a test. I got to find out I'm really his dad. My firstborn son wasn't taken from me. I mean, he was taken from me, but he's not dead, so God in a way returned my son, because before I found all this out, but after that had initially happened, what I thought was my firstborn son did pass away. And it felt biblical, like, God, why, like in the Bible, like, why you take my firstborn son? Like, I mean, why are you taking my kids, period? Why you hurt the little ones, right? And it was a real tough time in my life where I blamed God and I was mad at God and I was just real depressed. It helped drive a wedge in my marriage, led to my divorce, to me, doing dumb stuff like cheating on my wife, my ex-wife, not, and just it led to some real bad stuff. And then nobody's fault. It's my own fault, right? My decisions. But there was a dark time in my life because I was rejecting God and blaming him for what bad things have happened. I go back and look at my life. Another thing I didn't tell you guys about, I've been in foster home. I've been molested and abused, and I've been bullied a lot too when I was younger. And I had so much bad things happen to me. But I've had so much good things happening to me. And also, when those bad things happened to me, they didn't kill me, they didn't end me. And the way God, like I said, God's been there for me, they led to me being a better and stronger person. And ultimately, a lot of the negatives led to a path that opened a positive door for me. And I can't count the amount of times. I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head that I can think back and see times where I was down on my knees praying to God. I didn't have rent money. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was short on bills, and I was just $200 or $300 short. And I didn't know what, but I prayed and I asked for help in my life. And a day or two later, I've got maybe hustled up, sold something, made some money, did something, did a little side work or whatever, try to figure out how to make some money, but I'm still short. What I do, I'm still positive. I go in, buy a lottery ticket, boom, win $500. It covered my bills. It covered everything that I needed. And then after that, everything fell into place, with work. There were so many times like that where I've needed a job, I've needed the opportunity, and I asked God, I just needed the opportunity, and once it's given to me, I'm going to run with it. I just need some help. And every single time I have needed that help, he has truly been there for me, regardless. And you don't always get your way, When my son passed away, you don't think I was begging God to fix that. There's some stuff you're just not going to get your way. And that's hard sometimes, depending on what happens. Like, hey, why did I get molested? Why did I get put in a foster home when my parents were good parents? Why did the system like totally jack my family? That's the story, right? My same aunt, my brother's kind of special needs. He pooped on the stairs when he was like 5 or 6, but he's there enough. He shouldn't have, and he knows better. My mom took him up to the bathroom, washed his butt out, and spanked him like 3 times. My aunt had a conniption fit, called CPS, and because there was one thumbprint on my brother's ass, I was placed in foster. Don't think that led to a little bit of like hatred for CPS, the police, the government, about anybody who tried to tell me what to do. But yet, through that negativity, I have always been saved by the grace of God. When I got placed in my first foster home, I cried and I just couldn't take it. They pulled me out. And it was a bad place. I wasn't in there for long, but they pulled me out. But the second place I got put in, I got abused and molested. And I was pissed. Why am I here? Why is this shit happening to me? And then he put me in a good place on a farm with a good farmer that taught me a lot of good things for the like 9 months that I was there. I got to go to a good little country school. I got to get beat up by Freddie the Goose, for those of you who've heard that that story. I used to pick on this goose, and Farmer old told me don't pick on Freddie the goose. And Freddie used to be scared of me, run away, and all that. Oh, I was just ballsy, right? So I guess one day Freddie, I don't know, maybe he's seen some fear in my eyes, or I realized, yeah, this. But Freddie just loped up and kicked my ass one day, and that's a positive story that I remember to this day because it taught me something about treating others with animals and people with respect. Because you're going to get what you get, right? Karma goes around, right? And so, anyways, when it comes to God, He's just been there for me. So if you're not religious, recommend, doesn't hurt to say a prayer, doesn't hurt to try to look into believing. If you are religious, maybe this ain't the best testimony, whatever, but I just wanted to share it. If it doesn't matter, you're one of those people who are here for fishing only. I hope you enjoyed the entertainment side of it, at least a little bit about like, oh man, this crazy stuff dude's been through or seen. And that's just a little sliver of it, man. I've been through so much. There was one time when I was little, and this is after the thing, but I was like 3.5 years old. I remember I was like a little kid and I was into trucks, and my uncle had got me like a truck set for Christmas. And I'm out by the front yard. Mom or dad left it open. The front door, left it open, get a breeze going on in the house. I remember seeing a diesel truck go by, and I don't know what got into me, but I just ran out the truck down, and I kid you not, I ended up on the freeway, right by the freeway, and I could have got killed. God protected me, man. Guardian angel, cars zipping around me, stuff. Mom comes screaming out and gets me. But probably 100 cars had already passed me by then, just lucky that I guess, how many times do I have to be lucky, right, for it to start making sense that there's a little more than luck going on, especially when it's just not randomly luckily happening to me. I'm specifically asking, like, God help me, get me out of this, save me. And of course, I was praying, please God, let it come back clean, because there's no way I should have 20 plus years of acid reflux and have no stomach issues. There's no way I should have 30 years plus of prostate issues, not being able to pee right. Even since I was a kid, couldn't hold it for more than 5 minutes. True story. I'm peeing on the boat every half hour, man. I fill the lake level up every time I go fishing. So it's like, how did I go through all of that? How am I fat ass that eats a ton of candy and just not have like my blood sugar, everything perfect, my cholesterol, like what, right? And it just blows the mind that just seems like He's always there when I've needed it. So I want to share that with you guys. And I'm missing so much more. I probably think I should have told him this story. Oh, I should have told him that story, but I could just keep thinking of them, and it'll be here all night, man. My first Christmas that I remember, when we were super poor, my first Christmas, why I give back every year. I take care of as many kids as I can for Christmas. And if you'll notice, you go look on my channel, those are the videos with the least views. Nobody gives a shit. People are here for fishing, right? So I go and I take care of kids for Christmas. Oh, big whoop-de-doo, right? I don't do it for the views. I don't do it for people to give me a pat on the back. I do it because of stuff like I'm telling you, right? Like my past and my passion for helping people, especially the kids. And a lot of it draws back to the story that I'm about to tell you, is my very first Christmas that I remember. Well, I remember, actually, I lied. It's like my second or third Christmas, because life was all right. And I can remember back to about, like I said, 2, 3 years old. It's probably about 5 years old. It's probably our second or third Christmas that I can remember, but we were super poor. Didn't get nothing, couldn't have nothing. We were just going through some hard times. It moved from like Monterey to Seaside, or from Pacific Grove to Seaside. And couldn't afford Christmas for us. So like my parents, I remember they entered us into something. I remember them praying and praying, and there's so many people that entered into this thing, and we got selected and won. And me and my brothers got to do a shopping spree at the Monterey Mall, something that I'll never forget, a little shopping mall that they have down by the movie theater over by the hospital. And there's a toy store still there to this day. That's the toy store we got to do the shopping spree in. It wasn't like the whole mall. It was just this toy store, but in the mall, right? Like a shopping mall. And that toy store is still there to this day. If you go to Monterey, go to the shopping mall that's down by the movie theater, that toy store is still there. Yeah, and that's my first Christmas. I got to meet what I swore was, I believed in Santa Claus till I was like 15 because of this. Like, don't lie. Don't laugh too hard. Maybe 13, 14. I was like, he's got to be real, you know? Like, I know he's fake, but like, he's got to be real in a sense because, you know, that first magical Christmas where I got to meet Santa Claus showed up in a limousine and took us on this spree, you know, and for a kid, that was just the most wonderful thing in the world. I remember tugging on his beard and it was real. And I was like, what? This is really Santa Claus. And then like my gift was, I remember they got my brothers something, and my youngest brother was a baby, so he didn't get to come. And like he got stuff, like he got some money and got some stuff like were given to my parents. Oh, sorry. But oh, sure does, Chris. So man, I remember like tugging on Santa Claus's beard and thinking to myself, like, oh my God, you know, and like my first gift before we went anywhere, did anything, I get in, there's a limousine pulls up, Santa Claus is, I'm like, whoa, right? I get to get in, there's Santa Claus, and he gives me a wallet with like $100 bill in it. It was 100 or a 50. It was, I don't remember, but it wasn't a 20. It was like I think it was $100 bill. And then that wasn't like we didn't have that. That was us to take home. Your very first wallet, get an ID. I remember him telling me all this. That's where you put your, you know, your information in your cards when you get older. He goes, keep this wallet, you know, always. I don't have the wallet anymore. I wish I did. But I remember, you know, put that in the pocket and we go for a ride. They let me out the sun window or the, you know, the moonlight, whatever it's called, the, you know. And then my brother, you know, he's probably like three or four. He's in the limo with me, all happy and excited. And then we go to, and I think my mom and dad followed in a different car because they were there, but they weren't in the limo. So then we went to the store, went on the shopping spree. But like I said, all of this is preceded by a little prayer, a little asking, for, like, hey, can you help us out? And having a little faith and just being good people too. But also just, you know, I don't know what it is. Like I said, I've been through hella down. So it's not like I magically just say, hey, God hooked me up and he does. But it's like when I've truly needed it, he's been there. So anyways, it's just, I wanted to share that with you. I just feel like he saved my life, man. Like there's no way I should have went through all these tests and had them all come back clear. Yes, I'm gonna have problems for the rest of my life. For those of you who are maybe joining new, my back muscles are straight ripped. They tore. I only have a few strands of the meat like holding on. And so that's why I'm in so much pain. And I need to lose weight for one so that I'm not stressing that muscle. And I need to build that muscle up. But there's no surgery or anything that'll reconnect it. Scar tissue, it's all jacked. So how did I do in the Ryan Cook tournament? Oh, I did horrible. I'll tell you what, the last few tournaments, I've been doing so horrible. Me and my partner talked about it. And what's been happening is we've been doing two major things. We've been listening to the doc talk and trying to fish the way everyone else is because we're hearing they're catching big fish like that, fishing this way, they're fishing that way. So we're out here doing and throwing all this stuff that we don't usually throw and do. That's big mistake number one. Fish your strengths. So we just had an hour and a half conversation about this right before I jumped online, me and my fishing partner, about how, you know, we fish real similar, but we're in a tournament, right? We get in the boat where we're going to run. We're going to go to our spot, right? We pull up. We got a 90 horsepower boat. Most of the time, there's already someone in the spot that I want to get to. I know the lakes like the back of my hand. I know all the best spots. So do a lot of other people. So getting there is a trick. So usually I have to settle for second best or third best spot in an area, if even that. Might be 3 or 4 boats. So I have to kind of pick in the location where I want to fish. Okay, we'll fish here. Or if that's all taken up, pick up and just drive somewhere else, right? I get to our spot, and a lot of times we'll start fishing, right? And what will happen is a lot of times my partner in particular, I'm not trying to blame him at all, but my partner in particular will be trying to big fish in the morning and low light, and let's get the big monsters while we got a chance. So he's trying to throw big old swim baits and S wavers and A rigs and all stuff. But here's the honest to God truth: that's not our strengths. We can do those, and we catch fish with A rigs, and I don't have many swim bait fish. I have a few, but I don't have any S waver fish yet. I have one like decent one in the last few years, like a 2.5 pounder, and I've got a few when they first came out, but nothing any size. I don't have any HUD fish. I mean, sorry, and I've got some trash fish and other little swim baits and Kitex and whatnot, but not a big swim bait guy. I usually throw spinner baits and crank baits and stuff, right? And this guy, he's not a big swim bait guy. So we pull up, and I'm the dude in the front of the boat, right? He's in the back. It's my boat, right? So he's trying to chuck a big ass swim bait from the back of the boat while I'm trying to throw a jig or let's say it's the morning. So I get on that same kind of crazy tip, and I'm hearing all these dock toxic guys are catching them this way, that way. And it's wintertime. Usually wintertime, I'm out in 40 or 50 feet fishing either in 40 or 50 parallel or fishing into 40, or I can sit in 40 or 50 and cast into 20. Boat in between 30 or 40, you can hit almost any where the fish are going to be in the wintertime, almost always. And the only time if you're big fishing, you're swim bait fishing, crankbait, reaction, then you pull up shallow and you use it. You cast out and you bring your lure into the shallow, and the bass will pin it when they get shallow. Across points, right, and the long stuff. But we're pulling up, we're fishing out, and I'm trying to use bottom bouncers out and around, right? Or I'm using, let's say, a jerk bait, and then he's trying to bomb a swim bait, but he's in the back of the boat, so he can only get the swim bait so far ahead of the front of the boat. Our lures are near each other, so let's say he does throw his swim bait, right? And there might be a 5 or 10 pounder following it. Out goes my bait next to it, scaring his fish off. It's just we're not fishing efficiently for what we're trying to do. And if you're going to big fish like that, you both need to be on it, or the guy in the back of the boat has to literally drag a drop shot or something, or figure it out, or do his little thing. And the dude in the front's trying to figure that out. And we're kind of like almost like two like a conjoined twins, and we don't yet have our pattern down, and one's trying to walk this way and one's trying to walk that way. And what'll happen is also I am good with jerk baits and stuff like that, but my strong points are dependent on the time of year and the certain lure. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna show you guys my weaknesses and strengths, and maybe you guys have the same kind of stuff. But in the winter time, I can whip a lot of dudes up by throwing things like small swim baits, like little Kitex underspins and things, but with a little bit of a weight down deep. I'll use a jig, I'll use a Ned rig, I'll use a drop shot. That's about it. So jig, Ned rig, drop shot, maybe a Kitex, or like even a drop shot with the swim bait. Some stuff like that if I'm bottom bouncing. In the wintertime, if I'm trying to reaction, I'll use a flat-sided crankbait. I'll use a LV 500. I'll use a blade bait or a jigging spoon or a Castmaster. And I'll use like a jerk bait if I didn't go over that. If I'm trying to catch fish like what most of the swim bait guys are doing, I'll prefer to throw a spinner bait, swivel blades, let it sink, do the same kind of similar action, a jerk bait or a crankbait or something. There are some fish I believe that aren't going to, if they're keyed in on 10-inch trout, and you got a 15 pounder there, it might not hit your spinner bait. But most of these 5 to whatever pound bass, they'll hit. You put the bait in the right position, bring it the right way, they're going to hit it. I don't care what you say. That's my opinion, because I've seen you go in a tournament and one in the top 10, you got 50 boats, top 10, they're not always all doing the same thing. One guy might be chucking swim baits all day, come in with 20-pound bag, but is that your forte or your specialty? Maybe it's not. Maybe there's swim bait or spinner bait guy. Spinner bait guy comes in. Maybe he's in fourth or third place and he killed him on spinner baits. Then you got maybe second and fourth where they were using jigs. Then you got a couple guys that killed them on some drop shots or shaky heads. Many different ways to skin a fish, right? And they could all be catching the fish in the same day, different ways. And that was my point to my partner was, dude, we got to stop listening and watching what everybody else is doing and go out and fish. We're good at fishing. We go out, we kick ass. Why we go out and fun fish and catch 15, 20-pound bags? And then when we, or at least a 12-pound bag, and then when we go out to tournament fish, we pull 7 to 10 pounds. Like, what the hell is that? Like at the Ryan Cook tournament, got 9 pounds and some change, man. Like, why? And it's because we're not fishing our strengths and we're not fishing efficiently. So what we're doing, like I said, is we're wasting the early hours. If we're going to be throwing those things, we need to throw them correctly, check. And that'd be my job in the front of the boat, unless he wants to run the boat. I'm cool. He can run the boat if he wants. Then he can do his little thing. And it either works out or it don't. It's also why you need to pre-fish. We haven't been pre-fishing. So I didn't pre-fish the Ryan Cook tournament, didn't pre-fish the 1790, didn't pre-fish the BBT, and got our asses kicked in each and every one of those. And also in each and every one of those, we wasted 3 or 4 hours of time throwing swim baits and baits and big things in ways that really, we're good fishermen, pretty decent fishermen, but those aren't our strengths. Why the hell are we doing that in the tournament? That's not what we're good at. Right? That's my point is that if you're a guy who can really nail them on jigs and bottom bouncers or whatever, or even if they're reacting and swimming around, you're the guy that uses the Kitech or the spinnerbait. What are you doing picking up the big S waiver for during tournament time? In my opinion, that's great if you know what you're doing. That's why you go out and practice and you fun fish and you pre-fish. And once you get good at that, then sure, that could be your shtick, right? That's what you want to do. But what I think we should have been doing is approaching our spots and fishing them thoroughly and efficiently with the lures that we know how to use, if that makes sense. Coming up on a spot, throw a jig at it, throw a Cinco Texas rig, throw a big Ned rig at it. And if that's not working and you're seeing fish swimming around, try a Kitech or a spinnerbait or a jerkbait or an LV. You see a big ball of shad or something and some fish on a bait, throw down that LV 500, the blade bait, or jigging spoon, something like that. And so it's like common sense, right? The name of the damn channel. Use our common sense. What are we doing pulling up and wasting half the tournament? And then now check this out. Halfway through the tournament, we're a fish or two in. We're like, oh, okay. And we start putting down all the big baits. Then what do? Then we just a drop shot. We got to get. Next thing you know, we're just desperate to get 5. Like, what the? Like, seriously, how we just went out and thrown jigs on rocks and main lake points or channel swings and secondaries and stuff like that, and just broken them down, figure are they shallow, medium, deep, throw some jerk baits or LVs or throw a deep dive and flat side, something like that, and just figure them out. An LV 500 or spinner bait. You can fish shallow. They're fish shallow. They're fish deep. I'm seeing them all over. But we got to be committed to our strategy. We got to pre-fish, and we got to be on the same channel. Now, here's the thing too. If you're power fishing, even not power fishing, but kind of reactionary fishing, and to go for largemouth, let's say you're up shallower, trying to hit those main lake points or those big boulder rock piles or wood, trying to hit it at those angles where you're going to get that reaction strike, or you're trying to pull out a bigger fish, right? You need to usually have your boat pulled up in an angle that's such where that dude in the front is going to have all those ninja key, like sniper eyes. Like, I'm going to get that lane, right? I'm going to get that angle. The dude in the back of the boat is, right? Because if I'm up shallow at McClure, what's the dude in the back of the boat going to do? The fish up front very well. He's fucking with my angle, right? So he's going to go out back. Here's what he's going to say. This is what my partner says. It's all blown out. You drove over it, so there's no fish there. I'm like, yeah, there's fish there, but here's the problem is even if it wasn't blown out, when you're moving parallel and you're using a bottom bouncer, kiss it goodbye. It's really hard. You're gonna get snagged a lot. And in a boat too, that's moving slowly because you're covering water, doing your, power, your reactionary stuff. Even if you're going real slow, right? You're throwing a jerk bait, a crank bait, whatever have you. But even a big S waver, you're using all those angles. What's the dude in the back of the boat gonna do? So here's the deal: if you're in the back of the boat and you're shallow and you cast out deep, when you bring your lure up, any freaking stupid rock is a snag. So the guy in the back of the boat is just basically fine. He just got to sit there and chill and wait. And then he's going to be your net man. And what he can do, what I did too today, is you can do that. You're going to battle the snags. You're going to get snagged a lot. You're going to lose a lot of gear, and you might catch a couple fish because actually pulling that bottom bouncer up is more likely to get strikes from bass that see it and pin it versus a bait that's doing this, bouncing down the hill. If it's coming up and it's crawling and it's making a lot of contact, that's just an easy target to get smashed by the bass, right? But snag central. So what's the dude in the back of the boat do? He's gonna freaking complain, blah, 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 So you're constantly kind of going in and out and in and out, trying to, are they, just making stupid decisions. So I said, let's go next tournament, man. Let's just fish our strengths. So let me give you an example. Let's say the guys are catching them on the S wavers and the hoods. Okay, cool. Throw a Kitech instead of a hood. Throw a bigger one. Or just roll it on the bottom. You may not get that 8 or 10 pounder, but there's a 3 or 4 pound nice spotted bass that you got on an S waver. That same 3 or 4 pound spotted bass is very likely to commit and crush like a Vision 110 jerkbait. If it's doing the same kind of, you're working at a similar depth and a similar speed. Yeah, there's some time when they're just honed in and they're going to really want one thing over another. But there's, like I said, a million ways to skin a fish, right? Or skin a cat, catch a fish, however you want to say the stupid saying. But there's so many different ways to do it. Why am I doing it your way or their way or their way? I should be doing it my way. If you get what I'm saying. That doesn't mean I can't take a little bit of knowledge and a little bit. That's why I do this, to share, right? And now I see, okay, they're catching them like this or like that. You can take that a little bit of knowledge in and incorporate it. But when you're fishing a tournament, I use the analogy like gambling too. When you're fishing in a tournament, you really need to use your trusted go-to solid methods to maintain and get your solid, reliable bag to at least place decently. Now, you want to win, you got to take it to the next level. If you want to get first through third, let's say, you got to do that and then some. So you got to do that while at the same time then going for them big fish. And sometimes too, you can get those big fish, like a 10 pounder was caught on a drop shot in our 1790 tournament. Like what? So, but you want to get a big S wave. Yeah, you can do stuff like get your 5, and then if you really are not coaling, you're doing all the different tactics that you're good at. You're catching maybe some crankbait, some spinnerbait fish, covering water. You're catching 3s. You got this fat bag, which you sure that this is one of them. There's probably them swim bait guys. Someone's going to come back with a 20-pound bag, and you've got 3 5-pounders already. You're sitting in probably 4th or 5th place. You're doing pretty damn good. Yeah, let's just go ahead and throw those S waivers all day then, or let's go ahead and throw, go ahead and take a chance. But if you're not Mr. S waiver pro, Mr. HUD pro, what the fuck are you doing? It's part of my language. What are you doing wasting half your tournament doing that shit then? That's like saying if you take all your money out of your savings account, all your money out of your checking account, you're going to go gamble. Let me go down to the casino, we're going to gamble, and you're really decent at like poker or blackjack, you can go to the baccarat table. Are you going to go to freaking Spanish 21? Are you going to go to the slot machines and blow all your money? No, you're going to put your money where you know your best chance of success is. And that's why I'm like, man, next tournament, I'm just going to go in with my standard tools. And I'm going to use those tools. I have fun and try my hardest to do as good as I can. That's the name of the game. Because I've just been self-reflecting. What the hell is going on? And I think that's why I sucked so much in the last year's tournaments too. Just fishing with different with people where you're not firing on the same cylinder, you're not in sync. You're either button heads too, and or you just not fishing correctly because you're listening to dock talk, all that crap. It's just not good. I'm gonna read some comments. So I know I heard the sound went out, so sorry about that. But glad everything's back on now. Me and my son start going for a limit. Then after a limit, he tries some baits, and keep throwing my confident baits. Yeah, exactly, stuff like that. Right? That's kind of what we're going for. And the problem is like I was saying, is let's say, someone's going to throw those big swim baits and do all that once you got your decent limit, you're trying to get a kicker. The problem is I'm not trying to preach like I'm the swim bait master, but I know the swim bait principles and I know a lot of good swim bait fishermen. And any swim bait fisherman is going to tell you that you might get lucky and get a lucky fish here and there doing like dumb swim bait fishing. Like what I call dumb swim bait fishing is being away from the shore, posted out in 20, 30 feet, 40, whatever, and casting your swim bait at shore and bringing it out. Is what you're doing is if there's any swim bait or any bass along that shoreline, here comes your big old bait, badoosh, and right on their head, right? That could scare them off. If it doesn't, right, boom, fish, what? And then you start pulling it out. As soon as that bait leaves that shallow area where the bass feels comfortable, like it can pin it, it's too much energy and exertion. Now your bait's over 30 feet of water. The bass is that thing. Unless like they're holding down there. That's again where if you're going to do that, instead of fishing at shore and bringing it out, you would then turn your boat and fish parallel along the shore in that depth line. You get like the strike zone, right? And so say you're big swim bait fishing or you're big bait fishing, you pull up and you got a main lake point right here, right? A main lake point. You don't just pull up to the point and just blow it all out. And you don't know where the fish are at. So what you do on a main lake point is you pull up to the side of it like this before it, and you pull up in the back like this. And then you start casting parallel to it. And you fish it, and you fish it, and you fish it, and usually you'll catch fish on the sides of the point. You might whack a ton of them. When you stop catching them or you're not catching them, you just keep cruising. You're using your big swim bait. As you pull up alongside this point, you'll start throwing your swim bait across the point like this. You'll start throwing your swim bait like this, and you'll sit there. And then once you've made a bunch of casts in this area, then you can sit your boat literally on the point and cast out into 30, 40, 50, whatever. And you have that drawing power. If there's a bass cruising around or even on the bottom in 30, 40 feet, and it's looking up and it sees that swim bait, just lazily. But what's the swim bait doing? It's coming towards the point, not going away from the point, right? If it's coming towards the point, that means that swim bait's coming in shallow. And then if the bass is chilling, looking out, as that swim bait comes in, that's when that bass, boom, hammers it, because now that bass thinks the bait's alive. That's why it eats it, right? That's the whole what you're trying to do. So as the bait comes in shallower, the bait has nowhere to go, right? The bait can either go left and go down the shoreline and go right or go down the shoreline. The bass is behind it. The bait can't turn around and leave. So that bait is what we call fucked, right? So the bass can hit it and pin it. Now, if the bass is sitting like this and your bait and comes out over open water, that bass has got to go chasing that bait out over where that bait can go any way it wants to. Now the bass got to go exert all this damn energy. You don't want to do that. So that's why it's so key that you fish the big baits and reaction baits correctly if you really want. I know how to do this. Why haven't I done it? Right? Because this is kind of what I'm talking about. So if I'm doing that, what's the guy in the back doing? The guy in the back, right, as my boat's like this, he can't cast, like we're right up against shore. So he can cast out this way. But if I'm throwing my big swim bait around, right, he's only got a certain little section he can fish. And again, if he's using any kind of bottom out jig, drop shot, I don't care what it is. If it's not reaction, anytime you're pulling up shore, you're gonna get snagged every other cast. It sucks. You do catch fish like that, and it can be a really good way to catch fish. Boy, does it suck. Fat balls. You will get snagged like every cast, every other cast, at least every two or three. You will lose so much. It will be so frustrating. And then you're forced to now fish. If you don't want to get snagged, you're gonna have to fish reaction and stuff, and it can be frustrating when you throw a crankbait. You're up against the shore. You can throw a crankbait over 30 feet of water and bring it into. Sure, you got this little tiny little midget strike zone. You cast out behind you, so it can be real tough to properly fish big baits in a boat together. And if you're really good at doing it, then I'm not here to preach to you. You already know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's just a struggle that I found when trying to work with a partner to achieve that. Hey, let's go get 5 and then let's get the big fish, or let's go after big fish and then try to fill in our limit, or vice versa. But when you guys are kind of doing, then you end up doing this. So that's kind of what's been going on with tournament fishing for me. But I'm not giving up. We're actually me and my partner, we're gonna fish the whole BBT. We're gonna fish a bunch of the BBT tournaments so we can try to get in the TOC and see where we can go from there. And I'll drop in on a couple of tournaments like the 1790 Club, any of the NorCal Bassin guys. There's a lot of cool dudes that drop in and watch this channel that are kind of part of the Common Sense Fishing community, I guess you'd say, that host some cool tournaments. They have some cool tournaments, the Windy Wednesday Nighter, stuff like that, that I might go drop in and fish here and there. So you're going to see a lot more tournament fishing this year from me. That's pretty cool. So I'm kind of back in the swing of doing that, but I'm not like I'm doing it like, oh, I'm going to go win, like, oh, Milliken fishing. I'm going to go, I don't know, have no electronics on the front of my boat. 90 horsepower, 17-foot little dinghy, basically. Don't handle big waves well. Doesn't like rough weather, which is some of the best fishing, right? But it can be the toughest for my little boat to handle. And boat's not the fastest, but those are all excuses at the end of the day. Because before this last 2 years, man, I go out there and smack them on my boat when I was just doing it for you guys and having fun. Whenever I put tournament in the mix, our brain goes screwy Louie, and we just start making dumb decisions. And I think it's because we're trying so hard to win, all competitive, and then our brain like fires in a different mode, a cylinder. And instead of going gung-ho and doing what I do and going and fish like I would for fun, but all amped up, no. You start overthinking it. You start like, I'm going to throw this, I'm going to throw that. Next thing you know, you're throwing the kitchen sink, you're trash fishing, you're just garbage, and you're not even fishing right. You ain't even fishing your lures correctly because you're already thinking about what the next lure you're going to throw is. Sometimes it's hard to explain the mind of an ADHD fishing angler that fishes tournaments, because it's not easy. So especially when you got a person who's not family, right? And then like the dude's cool. I get along with him a lot. I like the guy a lot. I've spent some time with him. I consider him a friend too, but it's not like I've known him all my life or a lot. So it's, you got to build that relationship too. So I think we had a good conversation, and I'm looking forward to next tournament. We're just gonna go out and fish. I think we're gonna do a hell of a lot better. I don't think we're gonna win or anything, but I think we're gonna place a lot higher up, man. Last tournament we were in like 38th out of 41, dude. We were bad. Like we couldn't even get 5 fish. We got 4. First time I weighed in with 4 fish in like a long time, other than a couple of other tournaments like at Pedro. I had one with my kids where we had like 3 fish we weighed in. Oh, we didn't even weigh in that tournament. We caught 3, and it was a drive-up weigh-in, and my live well wasn't working. It was in like summer. It was one of those Ed Lacey tournaments or something like that, or Mason tournament we were doing with Ryan Cook. And so we just dumped our fish and just took off. We didn't have a shot. So I brought my daughter and son. But it was fun. We had a good time. That's another thing is I like tournament fishing too, to get to chill with everybody, get to be competitive, but also meet everybody, say hi, meet up with the fishing community, get out there and just see also what what's working. Because a lot of guys too, when they're done, they'll tell me, they'll call me, they'll text me, they'll message me, hey man, we were catching them on this and that, and then I don't turn around and run right out to doing it. Let's make a video. Oh, all of a sudden I'm going to use this rig or that rig, or I'm going to do what they're doing. But it really can help if you know that people are being honest, and it can at least help you see what you did wrong. Like, oh man, like how did these guys put together 12 pounds throwing drop shot all day? And I'm like a drop shot master. And how we only get 7? Well, because half of the day we were throwing big S wavers, and we suck at throwing big S wavers. We had no business throwing big S wavers. We don't throw those very often. We need to practice with those. But in a tournament, no, 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 no. That we had no business doing. We should have been doing what we. And then when we start doing what we have business doing, we have a blank slate. We don't know where to start or go. And then because it's the fact that it's already halfway through the day, you burned a lot of your best fishing time. And even if you didn't, and there's some good fishing time coming up, you don't have a starter point. Uh, oh, for sure, Mad Bass, 1790 Maloney's. I'll have to come jump in. We're doing one in February. I hope it's not. It might be the 10th too, at Maloney or McClure for the BBT. But for sure, I'm down. I know other than the 1790, maybe you want to fish one of the Delta ones. So I had a good time with you when we went out there throwing the jigs at McClure, man. That was fun. So like, that was my point is we go out fun fishing, tossing jigs, and we probably had, between the two of us, our best fish we probably had 11 pounds, maybe 10 to 12. I don't know. Nothing over 11 and a half, but bunch of rats, but we caught probably had at least 5 2-pounders, and so just doing that just out would have outperformed what I've done in the last 3 tournaments. I had 9 pounds in one, 7 pounds in another, and then 9 pounds in another one. Couldn't even break 10 pounds in 3 tournaments straight, and it was all because, in my opinion, I was fishing my lures incorrectly when I was fishing them, and also the guy in the back of the boat was just power fishing with big old swim bait incorrectly and in a bad way, and we just weren't working together with the 2 types of baits that we were trying to fish. And then when we did go to, let's say, our strengths, we did it too late in the day, and then instead of going to our strengths too, we went like, what happens when you have a tough day like that and you have all these big dreams? I'm gonna throw these big baits for all everybody's killing on spinner baits. I'm a spinner bait master. We're gonna go kill them on spinner baits. Then you load up with all these spinner baits, and then you go around throwing spinner baits for half the day, and it totally blows. And everyone's killing. Oh, but guess what? It was windy, overcast. Now it's a bluebird sky. Spinner bait bite might not be the thing. Halfway through, we wasted everything. So what do we do? Instead of throwing a jig or something a little bit better or bigger to have a little better bag, what do we do? Straight to the damn drop shot. And then instead of also moving around and trying to find better fish, as soon as you start catching fish because you've gone all day with none, you get hammered in on like, I just need 5. So then you're going for those same rats and dinks. If you caught one, you're going to want 5 more. Oh, all we need is 5. All we need is 5. Instead of going around looking for like decent fish and using your fish finder, paying attention to signatures. And even if you're not doing any of that, just fishing old school, fishing with your intuition and fishing with, hey man, what's the water temp? What time? Oh, is it bluebird sky? Is it overcast? Because we all know in general, if it's overcast, the fish are going to be a little more active usually. When it's sunny, that tends to put a little damper on the fish's movements and activities. In the winter, especially, there are times of year that, hell, summertime, right? Blaring hot, sun's out, and they're just out jamming around doing their thing. But in the winter time, it seems very much so that the sun seems to kind of it can warm up the water, make them move around. But when it's just bluebird sky, that seems to kind of push bass deeper. Even if they're still moving, because let's say the water temp's warm, but it pushes them down. Overcast, bass are usually moving around a little bit more. Also, if the water level in the lake is rising, bass usually pull up a little shallower. Water level drops, bass usually pull out a little back. So I mean, you use the 101s, the basics, and then you just go out and figure them out. But we've been so boneheaded that we've been ignoring the basics. Everybody's been killing them on the whoop whap or other. So we go out there and it's middle of winter and bluebird skies, and we're out there throwing stuff that probably you should be throwing when it's like super windy or an overcast, right? Just that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Just dumb decision making, really. And it's both of our fault, and a lot of it's my fault too, being Mr. Captain in the front, right? But then when you it's real easy too when one guy starts making a decision, hey, we're going to do this, and then half an hour later, 10 minutes later, it ain't working. The other dude like, oh, we should do this, right? So it's like it's a challenge, tournament fishing. My first few years when I got all the packs. So let's see. Oh, that shit right there. All of that future pro tour, second, third, first, third, and there. That all came fishing in a rubber raft, a best friend, fishing the way we know how, and not listening to doc talk, and not trying to copy everyone else, but fishing us. Just go out and have fun. That's how all that shit was won. And recently, I think I've really lost sight of that. And so, if I could try to help you become a better angler to anyone out there, I would say when it's your pre-fishing time, fun fishing time, experiment, grow, learn, get better, challenge yourself, throw lures you don't usually throw, but pay attention to conditions, weather, temperature, water conditions, and fish outside of your box. Throw different stuff, right? Try different things. But in a tournament, go with what you are confident with, right? To at least get your 5 and get a solid bag. Once you got that, then then it's open. Go do what you want. Go figure it out. That'd be my goal, or my not goal, my advice to you guys, because that's gonna basically be my advice to myself. That's what I'm gonna be doing going forward. I'm gonna basically be just fishing my strengths, fishing me, and better watch out because I'm not too bad. So if that's what we do and we stick with it, I think we've got a chance to at least bump a few people out of our way, place a little bit higher. Maybe one of these days take a check or two home. I don't know about first through third or anything, especially with live scope. I'm gonna close out with this. I'm about to be done for the night, but I'm not a live scope hater. Please, if you got the tools and I believe all for it, but it's almost like weight divisions, right? It's not fair for a boxer, or let's just say MMA. Can a little dude kick a big dude's ass? Oh yeah, but if you got two brawlers who are just absolute beasts, and one dude's 250-pound Arnold Schwarzenegger, pure muscle, 6'5", and the other dude's little Rey Mysterio, little wiry, muscly guy who's like 5'6", they don't belong fighting each other. That's not fair. There's no chance. And it's getting to a point where with like live scope and the technology that's out there, your skill can overcome that. Because I know guys that don't have electronics that fish great by just fishing old school. Like, for example, the Wainwright brothers. Dude, really good bass fishermen who go out and throw things like jigs and swim baits, and they'll murk fools without any electronics because they know how to fish, right? But they get along. They're brothers, right? You got to have that kind of relationship with your partner. You do like that, then you can fish like that. Electronics be damned. Who gives a shit? Let's go out and let's whack them. And I can fish like that, but we got to be on the same page, right? So, but traditional, with my gear, with my boat, with everything that we got going for us, man, it feels almost like it's not worth it. But again, I'm not doing it for money. That's my point. See, I'm not fishing these tournaments to try to win first, second, or third. I would like to, and I want to. The goal is to try to, right? But realistically, it would be nice just to simply break even, win a little bit of your money back. but the main thing is camaraderie, challenging yourself, getting better, and then eventually it would be good to climb back to those first place, second place, third place trophies I was showing you guys, and actually start cleaning house and winning and all that. But again, in order to do that, I'm going to have to probably, if I don't have live scope, I really do need to step up my swim bait game, HUDs, bottom, bottom things like that, mag drafts, your soft plastic swim baits, your S waivers, you know, your depths 250s, your stuff like that. No, I'm not gonna throw a Hinkle. No, I don't have that kind of money. But my point is like, if I really want to, at least for this area, achieve top tier, I'm not trying to be a Bass Pro. I do want, I mean, like I have a YouTube channel, right? It would be great to make this a business where I could either end up being like a local guide, and help people and take people out, and then I don't have to worry about catching these stupid little drop shot fish and all that all day, and just go out and fun fish, crack them, and then help other people catch the big monsters like that and turn them on to what bites good when. That'd be cool. Make a business out of this on YouTube. Maybe even get in where you're selling baits, creating baits down the road. The long-term strategy, it would be nice. I don't do tournaments barely, like I do recently, but like I haven't won any, right? But if you start winning some, get the boat all cleaned up, clean my persona, right? I got to get a haircut, take better care of myself. That's part of this. That's part of the stress and the depression that shows, that doesn't really show. If you know what you're looking for, you can see throughout my videos, or you can see in my past, or people who've known me, I'm usually very clean shaven. I'll have my hair cut pretty often. Sometimes it'd be a little scruff McGruff, but it just, what'll happen is you get in a funk, and then you'll kind of wake up, and then go take care of yourself, and then give. So I really, I'm feeling so much better though, knowing that I'm not dying, that I don't have all this crap going on with me, to a problem that's been bugging me for 6 years, and so I just feel so good that the future just, I'm hoping there's just a lot of positives up ahead. But anyways, this fishing stuff, I really do want to get, live scope and upgrade the boat and this and that. But like I said, when I about to, again, I'm not trying to be a live scope hater or any of this. It's almost like it's like financial, instead of weight brackets, it's like financial brackets. It's like you got the guys with these $100,000 boats, and they got 30,000 or $20,000 in electronics on them. Then you got guys in these little bass trackers with the $300 and $500 fish finders, no life scopes. And guys like me, 90 horsepower, 70 horsepower motor boats, two-stroke old ancient shit with no electronics or horrible electronics. And it's just like, not it's not that it's not fair, but it's like, you ever see a fight where it's just like the dude is just beating the other dude up so much or so easily? It's like, this isn't like entertainment. This isn't really enjoyable. That's how fishing seems to be getting, if you don't have the correct tools in your belt. If you don't have the big swim bait abilities, if you don't have those skills, if you haven't been tossing them, and you better learn them, because I guarantee you, in the next few years, you ain't going to place in the top 10 if you're not being able to toss a swim bait of multiple different types. Is there's times when they're suspended, so like those S waivers, and there's times when they're on the bottoms, things like the HUDs and all that. And the way the pressure hitting, the way everybody's throwing everything, you want to win any top 5, top 10, swim bait is going to have to be one of your go. You're going to have to be good at it. So if you're not good at it, like me, better start getting good at it. But again, my recommendation to myself and to others would be that a tournament is not the greatest time to practice for that. I recommend pre-fishing, fun fishing, and just fishing in general, and doing all that. And then, once you start getting some fish into your belt and you're actually catching fish, if you've never caught a fish on a swim bait, why are you throwing it for 8 hours in a tournament? You should be throwing a jig or whatever, Ned rig, whatever your go-to is. And then when you're not in a tournament, that's when you should be throwing that swim bait. So then once you've caught it, once you put some confidence behind it, boom, it's just all downhill from there, baby. It's just going to start snowballing and get better and better and better. right? So big swim baits, that's going to be key number one. That, and then key number two, live scope. So that when they're not on the big swim baits, when they're not on that crap, you can tell if they're up shallow in a foot of water. You can watch their reaction. So you might be throwing a jerk bait all day and sucking balls, just can't catch nothing. But if you had live scope and you actually noticed that the reason why you're not catching anything is because you're over twitching, and that if you simply slow down and twitch a little less, the fish actually stay following. And then when you stop and oh, that's when they're hitting, or vice versa, or you're going too slow and the fish are following and then now studying it and then they're deciding, nah. But then when you start ripping it, all of a sudden, oh, now the fish hit it. And you can use this technology to basically get a pattern so much quicker than a random, like, because you don't know if there is or isn't following it. You could be jerking slow, jerking fast, jerking moderate. You can go fast, slow, make up, but you might even be fishing in an area that's shitty. So you think, the jerk bait's garbage, I'm gonna put it down. Then you drive to another spot. Oh, I'm gonna throw the jig right now. And then there's a million jerk bait fish there. But you're not catching any of them because you're bottom bouncing and they're all swimming around. But had you just thrown the jerk bait there too, you fish a few spots, that kind of stuff, right? So like the live scope is really going to be key moving forward if you want to be a tournament fisherman. They do not replace intuition. That's right, Mr. Green Jeans. Also the two, that's right. Oh yeah, the Ryan Cook tournament. I'm telling you, I would like to help making sure that he's got a lot of friends that I don't think will ever let his legacy go away. They'll ever stop the tournaments and stuff. Um, and I think Cook would want things more for kids, more for the community, and he'd want a big thing about kids and like the fishing community, and yeah, we lost a great guide. That sucks. That's where I don't know. I've been thinking. I got an HVAC business. I'm super busy. I might. I don't know if I see. Like I'm not trying to make a bunch of excuses. We got a garbage boat, no electronics, and you're right. Intuition. This is what I was talking about earlier. See, you just got here. I was talking about like you don't need electronics. You know what, you're pretty damn good. I got all the principles down. I could fish a lot of lures. The problem is that fishing certain lures and techniques makes the back of the boat angler have a really bad day in certain circumstances, especially if you're not both on the same page. But it's really hard, let's say, in a small 17-foot boat that has a very narrow, you don't have a lot of room for two guys to get up there. So one guy's got to be in the back of the boat. And if there's wind and current or stuff, it's hard to keep a boat facing a certain direction so that two guys can fish, let's say, a jerk bait together or a crankbait, especially in my little boat. What'll happen is if I want to do that, the guy in the back probably is trying to, let's say, throw something else like a drop shot, a Ned rig, a jig, whatever have you. And he's going to get snagged all the time bringing it up shore. Because when I'm doing those types of fishing, I'm fishing up shallow, right? Now, if you're off a bit and you're throwing to shore and bringing it down or offshore fishing, that's something that both guys can do really easy. So you can pull your boat, right? You can have a shoreline where, you have a little channel that runs in and you have shoreline here. Let's say they're 100 and something yards apart, but you can't. But you put your boat, and you can cast close to shore, fish down. You can cast. Well, doing that, you can have the boat sit there. You cast out spinner baits and slow roll them, so, all kinds of stuff, and fish parallel. If the fish aren't right up against shore, right, you can use bottom bouncers all around, fan cast. Guy in the back can do all kinds of stuff. But when you pull that boat up real tight like this, and you're fishing like the Delta, that's how you catch the monsters in these mother lode lakes if you're by yourself. If you're using crankbait, spinner baits, swim baits, any of that, try it on a 12-foot boat. Exactly, right? You pull your boat up like this, and you're cruising along that shoreline, and you're fishing parallel. That dude in the back of the boat, he's screwed, right? Because for one, you're covering water, right? He's going to be thinking anything behind him. It's already been fished 100 casts. We blew the boat over it. The water, blah, blah, right? And then if he's using a crankbait and you dig into a rock and the boat's moving, you're snagged, guaranteed, right? Because you don't have that, and you can't let it float back up or anything. So when you're fishing real shallow like this, the dude in the back doesn't have many options to him. And that's where it can become a real problem, because I do know really well. There's some of my earlier videos, you can see it for sure. But man, I've been fishing since I was a little tyke. One of my favorite ways to fish has always been power fishing and more of an aggressive form of fishing. That's how I actually started learning. I could not barely catch a bottom balancing fish until I was like 25, damn near. I mean, I caught them like, but it had to be Texas rig. Whatever it was, a Cinco, a curly tail worm, the 6-inch worm, the 8-inch worm, the Berkeley worms, Texas rig, everything. Texas rig. I couldn't even, well, probably till I was, let's say 22, 23. From the ages of 15 to like 23, I threw spinner baits, crankbaits, top water, and like Texas rig. And I swear, like I could kill it. I'd catch a ton of fish. And fishing in the late 90s, early 2000s, whole different story. Not as much pressure, not as much different lures out. Way less fishermen back then for sure. Way more fishermen now. But the principles, man, fishing the Delta style ambush points, fishing lanes and angles is really important. Like that intuition that you're talking about, especially if, because here's where it plays in. I have electronics on the back of the boat, but I don't have electronics in the front of the boat. So I can see if there's fish in like 15, 20 feet of water and deeper, right? But I cannot tell if there's anything from 1 to 15, what their activity levels are, anything, right? Even without live scope, just traditional. I don't have any electronics up front. So if I want to find out if there's stuff up there, like for, let's say, jerk baits and swim baits or crank baits, spare baits, and I'm using that parallel technique, while I'm doing that, the dude in the is screwed because he really has no angles. If he's pulling up, he's going to get snagged if he's using bottom bouncers. If he's using reaction, he's casting out over 40, 50, 60 feet and bringing it in towards shore while I'm the one doing parallel, right? So all he's going to be doing is net boy or snag boy or board boy on his phone, right? So then that's where that can be a challenge unless you're fishing with your ass in kind of popped out like this, so that you can, maybe he's fishing with a deep diving crankbait and you're using a shallow crankbait, or you're both using, different spinner baits and his is going a little deeper. Yours, you can do that, but again, wind plays in and all that. And you're right. See, those instincts, like the fish finder cannot replace that. However, it's great to be able to zoom up and look and say, oh, there's nothing up shallow. I don't see shit. You can, on the live screen, there's nothing moving. Or you could be looking up there, oh, look at all those fish, while you're throwing, let's say, a drop shot or jig, and they're not biting nothing. But you can see, oh, they're there, and then you figure out what's it take, and use some different techniques. But that's where, again, intuition is super important. Knowing the basics, the 101, like stuff like when it's overcast, if you're using flash, you're using a spinner bait, a lot of times they say in muddier, dirtier water, overcast, less visibility, go to a gold color. Then you go more to a silver color in bluebird skies. And also, or depending on the bait fish you're mimicking, are you going after a shad? You're trying to mimic shad? The silver might draw a little bit better than the gold, unless you're, trying to mimic like a bluegill or something like that. So you might want to use gold in the summer. You might want to use silver in the spring or fall. But there's all these different factors, right? So knowing what to use when, stained water versus clear water, all that little stuff. But it's not rocket science. But you take those basics and you build on it. And that intuition, like you say, you can't put a price tag on that. But like I said, what I feel like with the live scopes is that it's like a weight class in fighting. It's not really that fair, though, to have a competition where we're going to see who's the best of the best, right? And we all go out and hit a lake, and you got guys in 12-foot aluminum boats, you got guys with no electronics, and then you got guys with power poles and live scopes, 360s, 3 or 4 12-inch graphs. That's not really a fair playing field, if you get what I'm saying. So it's almost like there should be weight classes. But the problem in that would be, though, is then say you get a tournament. What shows up? 40 boats, 50 boats, 60 boats. You have a big tournament, it's 90 to 100 boats here in California. You got 100 boats, that's a good tournament. Average club boat tournament thing's going to be between 30 and 50 boats. And so you don't really have enough boats to start separating them, right? Like we're going to have the elite class and we're going to have the broke Joe class, right? And then even then, kind of most guys always say, oh, we don't want to be in the broke Joe class. Screw that. We're gonna go fish against these guys too. And that's how I feel like a lot of the time. I you know, I just want to get out and have fun. So I'm not throwing shade or complaining too much about the live scope. That's not me. I want to get one. If you can't beat them, join them. But that live scope's not going to replace the fishing skills. You know what I mean? Um, the new power pole brake system blades are making wind a lot easier to navigate. But there we are again talking about economic advantage. Yeah, exactly. But that's the point where it's like, that's fishing, and intuition doesn't replace it. So it's Mr. Green Jeans, you just got here, so I already did this, but all of those, and I have more. I actually have like 4 or 5 more. All of those were won in the Future Pro Tour. Future Pro Tour, usually 70 to 100 boats, and in a rubber raft. No electronics, 2.5 Tohatsu outboard motor strapped to a piece of 2x4 on a green Seahawk 1500 or something, with a milk crate with a battery and a trolling motor on the front. My buddy sitting on his ice chest with our lunch for his seat, me sitting on a tackle box for my seat, and our gear in the middle, our legs all crunched up and our poles all witch watch every way. Utter to a little area, and we just sit there and break it down and fish like we're Asians fishing from the shore with live crawdads. But we're using jigs and drop shots and things, and we did all that without running and gunning and without any of that crap. It was so crazy, man. But that was before live scope. That was before, but also, like I said, would it really have? I don't know, man, because this was me and my brother. Like this was me and my best friend. That we get along like two peas in a pod. We know each other very well. We complement each other's fishing styles. We don't argue. And we just went to town, man. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 first through thirds in the Future Pro Tour in a rubber raft. I swear to God, people wouldn't believe it, but we were even on TV on Comcast when they were broadcasting their tournament from Folsom. We're actually in it. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's because I ain't trying to be like a braggart or any one of those douches. I'm cool, man. It's just saying like, just to look at that and realize I didn't do it. We did that in a rubber raft with a ice chest as a live well with bubblers, and you know, nuts. I remember when we got first place at Folsom. This one right here is my favorite. I'm going to tell this story and then we're going to go for the night. But this is my favorite plaque right here. First place, Future Pro Tour, Folsom Lake, April 21st, 2012, right? We beat the shit out of everyone in that little rubber raft, right? And it was a crazy windy day with like 3 foot, 4 foot rollers, right? just these huge waves. And we launched at the very bottom of the lake, right? And we didn't know where we were going. We pre-fished and caught one fish. It was miserable. So we knew we didn't want nothing to do with South Lake, Main Lake. We didn't want nothing to do with that. We were like, we got to get out of here. We didn't know what arm we wanted to go up. We look at the map and we see there's a marina, and we see that there's this like cove in the back right there by the marina. And then there's a creek that comes in, right? So we take our little 2.5 and we're putting, and we put all the way across Folsom. Took us, I want to say, an hour just to make the run. And it was so many boats zipping and zinging around, and they're just staring at us like, what the right? And we get over there, right? And we get to, this is a hilarious story. It takes all day, but it's one of the funniest stories ever. So we go to the first, we pull up to the back of we pull up to the marina, right? And before the marina, there's like this big sandbar that comes out, right? And we were whacking, and we started catching them on that. Like, oh hell yeah, we're catching them in like 20 feet of water. And then we pulled into the marina, and we pulled to where the creek comes in the back, and there's a big rocky point, right? And there's this chunk rock, and it's the corner back right corner of the marina. And there's some trees. The lake was super full, and the trees were underwater. We started throwing Cincos up in those rocks. Boom, boom. We just started catching 3s and 4s. Like, what the hell, right? And we're just like, oh my God, we're killing them. And then the bite stops. We don't know what's going on. Okay, so we pull out, and then we don't know. We got maybe half the day left. We're probably around 12 or 13 pounds at this moment, and we find this cove, big old cove. It's huge old trees, and the trees are like 6 foot under. The lake's like super overflowing, and the trees are like 6 foot. The water, up to their branches. But these are like those big pine, like Christmas trees, where the main stalk goes up maybe 8 to 12 feet, and then the branches start like a big Christmas tree, and they grow, conifer tree. So the stalks, or the trunk of the tree, was a good 6 to 8 feet underwater, right? And then the branches would come out like 2 feet above them, and it was like hot as shit, but it was super windy. And there were these ski boats that were parked in the cove, and there were girls, big old team, fine too, like, oh, we were just like, oh my God. And they were just dancing and partying, and jet skis burning, so wah, wah, and they're playing loud ass music, and we're right next to them. And I'm like, oh bro, we need to go back to the spot. This is dumb. Like, what are you doing? Look at all this noise. What the hell? The jet skis and the people and the what the hell? Boom, fish on. Oh, get the net, get it. Next thing you know, I'm out there with him. Oh, and we just proceed to catch another like 15 or 20 fish in this one area, and they're all like 3 to 4s. And guess what? We got no scale. We got no nothing. So we're sitting here opening our live well, opening our ice chest, and we're holding up 3s and 4s. And which one's bigger? I don't know. What do you think? This one, throw it out, right? And so we got our 5. And we're just like, man, dude, like we probably got like 14, 15 pounds or something, or like maybe 18 even. Like we're close to 20 pounds. It looks like we got 5 4-pounders. We're like, yeah, we might actually be in like 4th or 5th place, dude. We'll do pretty good. And we put our way back. Big old waves, right? So, and we're putting our way back, made sure we're going to get there on time. And I'm telling you, Folsom's so big, and we got this little 2.5 horsepower outboard motor, right? So we have to stop every 20 minutes and fill it up with the little gas tank that it has on the inside, right? Take the little lid off, pour gas in it, put it back, start it on, and then on our way again, right? And so all these bass boats are zipping around, and we got these big ass cheese eaters, and we're just going, right, and they're all like, huh. And we pull up to the weigh-in, right, and it's a drive-through weigh-in. So we pull the we pull the rubber raft up to shore, right? We get out, get the ice chest, and my buddy, we drove a Geo Metro, little Geo Metro, right? Because we don't have a boat. We got a little car, so you throw the ice chest on the in the back seat, and then we're driving. We're all grinning ear to ear, right? And one of the guys, we're like maybe 10 lengths along, and he's checking in. Okay, what boat number? And we already checked in when we are coming, but we're going to the weigh-in, right? And it's a massive tournament. And he sees the look on her face. We go, what you boys got? About 20 pounds? And we're like, maybe. And he's all, no way. And he comes over, pops open our chest. What the? Hey, guys, come here. Next thing you know, everybody's coming. Oh, what the hell? Where'd you get those? Apparently, everybody had been smashing around the lake every which way, bottom, top, all the rivers. They were fishing in 1 foot of water. They were fishing in 60 feet of water. They couldn't find a fish. Like, barely anyone had 5 fish limits. Let's just put it that way. Like, half the field had like 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, 4 fish. And then the top guys had 5 fishes, but the limits were and bro, we went to that weigh in and we were just like, no freaking way. And like we turned out, man, and just smashed it. We got that first place trophy right here, Folsom, bro. And we just whooped on them. And everybody was like, how'd you do it? What'd you do? And we told them, they're like, oh, no way, really? And over there, like the water, like it was the only place we could hide out of the wind. But we knew there was a marina. We knew that like the whole area was a big cove. And then we seen that other cove, and we're like, well, we need to go get out the wind. And we don't know shit. We've been bombing it, and we know no matter any lake you go to, there's always fish by a marina. That's what we thought. Let's just go by the marina. And sure as shit, dude, just fishing for fun, man. That's my favorite tournament story right there. I've had others where we've caught some really big fish in the tournament, 7-8 pounder, but that right there, man, hands down, has to take the cake for the best adventure out there yet that I've been on, in a rubber raft, smashing across Folsom, dude. And then we did the same thing at Clear Lake. Where's it at? Let me find it. Here it is. Oh shit. And we did the same thing at Clear Lake and we got third. Too funny. I swear to God, when the people drive by, bro, and there's 5-foot waves at Clear Lake and they see our boat folding in half, going like, I swear to God, you got these big old 5-foot waves, right? And we're in this little rubber raft, and the 5-foot wave lifts the front up, and then as the front, it lifts the back up like this. And by the time we got from one end of Clear Lake to the other, I shit you not, the entire raft filled with water, like a bathtub. We're just soaking wet like sailors. We were drinking too back in those days, youngsters drinking beer. We were just singing songs and we're just hurdy ho, all happy as can be. And these fools are seeing us and they're scratching their head. They're like, you boys are out of your freaking, like, you guys are out of your mind. You guys are crazy. And yeah, those two weeks. So anyways, thank you guys for watching Common Sense Fishing. Hope you guys had a good time. We're going to do another giveaway next week. I got a $50 gift card to give away. Want to say thank you to everybody. So make sure you guys have your notification bells checked. And we'll see you guys. We're going to be looking at, I think, next Thursday. Be on around 7. I got on a little late tonight. So again, thanks for hanging out and watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. First, about like my little testimony on my health stuff, how God's just like saved me. I've been through so much crazy stuff in my life. And these fishing tips about like my struggles as a tournament angler, what's been going on that. And I guess we'll end a note with if you've got any tournaments coming up, hint, dude, we just been smashing a couple of 3 and 4 pounders, just throwing jigs in like 25 to 55 feet and just fishing. We stopped went out there and just stopped just doing the dumb shit, and it paid off. So, and then we went out today, and I went out with Wainwright, and he got about a 3 on a S waiver. Hey, then turned around and later on in the day stuck like a 4+ on a jig. And I caught me a fatty on a jig, and it was just the jig bite was on. If you're struggling out there, just remember a jig is always a go-to lure. So we'll read a couple comments, and then we're gonna get out of here. Yeah, the Future Pro Tour had a small boat division. We fished in it the first year. Second year, we fished in the big boat. I actually have a whole another set of trophies, but they're from a different division, so they're not up on the wall. I'm like, because sometimes there'd only be like 8 boats, 9 boats, 10 boats. Because the way they had it in the Future Pro Tour was if you had a 90 horsepower and below, you could be in the small boat division. If you had above 90, you had to be in the big boat division. You didn't have a choice. And we fished the small boat division the first year and actually won like half the tournaments. And I was pissed. Why didn't we join the big boat division? Because our payout, we couldn't win. If you won, you could turn around and catch all like better fish than everybody else, but if you were in the little boat division, you only won that little pot. You couldn't go mess with their pot, right? So I was pissed, like, what are we doing? So we got in the other division and fished the big boats the next year, and we went to the TOC twice and bombed both times. And then the next year I stopped, and my buddy Jay and Jeremy, they went to the TOC and finished like 5th place, and they actually did really good. They won a couple $1,000 checks a bunch of times. We won some money too. It was pretty good. But Jay, when I dropped out, because when I got my son passed away, I kind of had to drop out of fishing. Was trying to get my life straight. And in that moment, I pulled out of fishing with my partner and my buddy. He jumped in, because I got a couple friends that we've been friends since we were like probably 8 to 10 years old, something like that, and 11, 12 years old, and like 10 years old. And so we've known each other forever and a day. We really fish good together, all of us. We're like interchangeable, like parts in a machine. You can pull any one of us out, and the other one will fill their spot really good. We know what we're doing. As long as we're fishing with each other, we don't, butt heads or anything. So pretty cool. But let's read some comments. Then, like I said, we're going to get out of here for tonight. So yeah, the nice new to the channel and like listening to your words of wisdom and videos. Keep it up. I can't wait for the next fishing video, and also like the tips you give. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Great story, great memory. Congrats. The most valuable part of fishing is the memories we create. That's for sure right there. Thanks for the show tonight. I'm headed to bed still. Thank you. Appreciate everybody. Mr. Green Jeans, thanks for jumping on. Matt and everybody else, whoever's hanging out. If you haven't commented, appreciate you for watching, hanging out. If you're watching this later, thank you as well. And like I said, next week we're going to have a giveaway. So thanks. Welcome to the channel if you're new. And make sure your notification bell is checked because we're going to have a giveaway. So we'll see you then. Good night, everybody. And tight lines, and may you guys catch some nice fish.